Well, joining me is a member of our finest, the New South Wales Police Force. He's also a very talented harness racing trainer and at times a reluctant driver. I'm very pleased to introduce Detective Senior Constable Joe Conolly. Well, Joe, first of all, thank you for your service. How did you become involved in the New South Wales Police Force? Usually it's either by going through high school and that being the desire, or following in family's footsteps.
Yeah, a bit of both for me. My grandfather was in the police. He served a full career, retired as an inspector back in 87, 88, around the time I was born. So I always had that family connection, and it sort of was always in the back of the mind through high school. Had a lot of other jobs come and go as well, but that was the constant one that I sort of settled on and decided that was going to be it.
As I mentioned, you're a member of our finest, the New South Wales Police Force. Joe, this time last year, the New South Wales Police working side by side with the Army, defending our borders. Must have been a very strange setup.
Yeah, it's been a really crazy, probably 18 months for us, with everything that's happened across the world, and it's well publicised. It sort of makes our job very different to what it normally would be. But it's a good challenge, and it's something different for us to then deal with and adapt to and learn new skills and work with different people in the process. So we enjoy it. Keeps us busy, for sure, but no, it's been interesting, but I think so far we've done pretty well, and the country's getting its feet, so that's the main thing.
Joe, you've just been on 6 months long service leave. You're back in action. It must have been very tough that first day. Yeah,
it was. I really enjoyed the time off. It was a nice break from work, and to be able to come and sort of spend a bit more time, a bit more focus on the horses. So that first night, we were hard to go back to work. Was, do I really want to do this again? But no, back in the swing of things now. Back to working full time and doing these on the side. Longer hours again, obviously, but no, it's good to be back in the office and getting that balance again.
Joe, notice a cut above the right eye. Do we need to call the Commissioner for a medal?
Oh, I wish I could give you a good story. Fortunately, one of my own horses got me last night at Newcastle, so nothing too exciting about that one.
Well, Joe, now let's go into your involvement with harness racing. You're going through high school, then to university. So how did the involvement with harness racing come about?
I have a friend, Wayne Dimmick, a highly established esteemed trainer out at Berkshire Park. He introduced me to it. Sort of started off just helping out around the stables, and then we got a horse together, and very quickly it grew to something that I was doing every time I had a day off, and from there he showed me the ropes, and I think I learned from the right camp.
Joe, being involved in such a high pressure job and a dangerous job, no doubt mixing with the horses, just getting out there, letting the breeze blow into the face must be very relaxing and just helps counterbalance the stress of work.
And that's exactly what it is for me. It's a complete getting out, it's a change of scenery. When I'm here or when I'm working at the track, work's the last thing on my mind. The cops is a job that can consume you, really, you think about it all the time if you let it. So for me, this is my mental health, just to keep myself sane, and it's a good balance. It's something entirely different to what I'd normally be doing, and it works for me.
So over the past 5-6 years, it was more like a hobby for you. Over the past couple of years, you've certainly been making a name for yourself, in particular landing one plunge about this time last year at Penrith, golden year, 150s into 15s.
Yeah, we thought we could go right that night. Not really punters ourselves. In fact, we missed him altogether. We sort of thought, we'll wait and see what happens. But no, he's been a good horse. He's been a really nice pickup. He's Seaton's horse, and Seaton's a young bloke that's come to work for me. And between us, with having Seaton on board has helped me sort of up my numbers by a couple. So now it's a turn over horses and try and build the team up. And we've had some nice ones come through that are capable of going through their grades and winning races rather than picking up the old claimers like I was just to get started. So it's given us some legs to work with, and so far we're ticking along nicely.
How did the association with Seaton Driver come about?
I didn't actually know Seaton at all. I met him through a mutual friend at Penrith Trots one night. Seaton was coming of age where he needed a sponsor to graduate from the minis up to the big court horses. So we'd been introduced, he came up and said, are you interested in sort of having someone hang around and learn? I said, by all means. Probably the smartest decision I've ever made. It's worked out really well.
He's a very confident young man.
Yeah, he is. And you know what? He's doing a great job. He's been a big asset to me. Got his younger brother Bryson coming through now as well. So between the pair of them, we were able to keep the team and working together, and just having that extra driver around the track work makes a big difference. And on the track, he's really sharpening up into one of our better juniors that's coming out on the track too. So it's a big asset to have in my stable.
And how many horses do you have in your stable, Jack?
At the moment, we're working 8 between us. So 5 at my place and 3 round at Seaton and Bryson's. So it's enough to keep us busy, but we can still manage between us. Seaton's obviously still working, Bryson's working, but we get the job done. So a couple of days are busy when we're not at work, and it's early mornings to get a job before I go to work. But no, it's good because it means nights like tonight I can be here and I've got a horse that can go around, and we just hope for the best.
Joe, courtesy of your job, you've probably been in more courtrooms than Perry Mason. How do you handle it when you have to confront the stewards? It'd be very interesting, I would say.
Yeah, look, I think overall I probably have an advantage in terms of some of the other trainers and drivers that have to go into the room. Thankfully, we've got a good panel, and they're very transparent, and you know what to expect when you go in. The evidence is either there or it's not, so it makes it easy. You know what the outcome's going to be more or less before you start, and they're easy to work with. So, I think if I had to, I could take the fight up with them, but thankfully we don't have to do that too often.
I suppose it's the same in your job. You can tell if someone's trying to pull all over your eyes.
Oh yeah, you generally know straight away. So as long as you call out the facts, we're good. But
Joe, you're a bit of a reluctant driver, as we mentioned, but you are going around on Tuesday in race 5. How do you see your chances with that particular horse? Don't go in the water.
I think he's probably a fair place chance. We've drawn quite wide. I'm just bringing him back down here just to see what he can do on the big track. He's worked his way up nicely through this prep, and he's hit a little bit of form. So I thought now is the time just to bring him here and see what we could run. And we've got one eye on the Breeders' Challenge and the regional finals at the end of the year. So this is just a bit of a test of the water to see where we're at. And, he's really developing along nicely. He's been a little 3-year-old. He's grown a bit this year and stronger than last year. So no, I really like the horse. His best days are probably still another year or two down the track, but we're heading in the right direction, that's for sure.
Do you ever see the time when you leave the New South Wales Police Force and take up harness racing in the training ranks a little bit more serious?
Yeah, it's a dream. It's probably a distant dream at this stage. For me, I wouldn't want to be relying on this, putting the pressure on myself to do it as a job. If I can get to the stage where I'm financially stable and set up and comfortable at home, well, yeah, that would be the goal at the end of the day. Probably another 10, 15, 20 years, whatever it takes me to get there. But no, certainly I do really enjoy it. I think I'll be in the game for a long time. It's just, I like having it as a hobby, and that's, I think it's just so much more relaxing and enjoyable when you're not relying on that week-to-week grind to make a living.
Well, Joe, as I said at the start, thank you for your service. Continue to stay safe and continue to enjoy harness racing.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.